Welcome back to the channel. We are in the gun room again today. We have got a budget-friendly night vision option out for review. So shout out to Triton for sending this out. This is their StarStrike model. These are available on Amazon's website. So if you're interested in one of those, I will post up all that information in the description below. Now, the interesting thing that kind of caught my eye with this whenever I first started talking to this company was the price point. So this one here comes in at less than 300 bucks. So if you've been in the market for a night vision unit to put on your critter getter, but maybe you haven't wanted to spend, the $600 or $700, this might be something you might want to look at, and we're going to see if it's any good. So what all does it come with? This unit here comes with two 18650 batteries in the box. That's very nice. You get an additional one that you can keep in your bag with you, charged up and ready to go if you need it. Type-C data transfer cable, get a Torx key and some additional screws, just a cleaning cloth. You get some product literature, and then a very brief user's manual. So this one here, just out of the box, it presents very, very well. It's about 10.5 inches in overall length, and that includes the collapsible eyepiece. Put that down, it's about 9.5 inches. This is a Picatinny mounted unit, which I really like, and it comes with the adapter, so you don't have to source additional parts. Now, I am going to go ahead and say there are two things just initially that I don't really like, but for the price point, it doesn't really surprise me. And the first thing is that there is no cover for the IR illuminator. There should be some sort of a cover to put over that when it's not in use, whether it be in case, in the safe, in the bed of your truck, in the back of your truck, whatever, your side by side, so that way that doesn't get scratched or damaged. So that's kind of a bummer, but just something to be mindful of. Then the battery compartment. So back here is where you will install your 18650 battery. Now I will say the threads on these are cut very nice. That's usually one kind of small way of telling how much forethought was put into a unit is by how good the machining is. And these threads are cut very, very nicely. There's no grit or anything when screwing it out or in. So they did do that very well. However, it's not O-ring sealed. That's kind of a bummer. So moisture, yes, could get in there. You definitely wouldn't want to be in a steady torrential downpour potentially. You'd want to make sure that that's covered. However, if that's tightened down, you should be okay. Just be mindful that you don't want to do any nights, Navy SEAL maneuvers during water and stuff like that, and you should be good to go. Now, to kind of go over some of the brief features with this unit, we've already talked about the IR and we've talked about the battery compartment. Now, kind of going back to the IR, from my dealings now, I guess for the past year, maybe year and a half, since I've been messing with night vision stuff here at the Hyde, the IR illuminator is usually the limiting factor of these units. So this one here is advertised as a 5-watt unit, good out to a 300 meter IR range. So if you're finding that you need a little bit more, or maybe the picture isn't as crisp, you can always add an auxiliary IR illuminator. That's a possibility. You could do that. However, they are saying this is good to 300 meters. We're going to try it out to 210 on my range, and we'll see how it does. Now, this one here comes in at about 16.8, 16.9 ounces, so it's about right at a pound. And I would say that it feels very good. It's very balanced, so it shouldn't add a lot of forward or aft weight to your rifle. Should be able to tote it around, no problem at all. Now, this does come with a 32 gig micro SD, which I've already installed. And under this little door here, you get your Type-C port as well. You can charge these batteries on the unit, or you can take them out. I've got a 4-bank charger, so I just charge them all at one time. I don't charge with it in here. But you can also data transfer files off the SD onto like your desktop, off that, or you can take that out and just put it in your micro SD slot on your laptop or your desktop as well, which is usually what I do. Now the control panel here, let's kind of go over that. So if you look here, you have a menu button and a play button, so you can play back on this unit. That is nice. Now down here you have your IR illuminator, so you can turn this on or turn it off for day or night mode. That's pretty cool. Now you have your video recording mode here. You also have a still shot mode here. And you have a crosshair button. So you can change the reticle on this to 4 different designs. So they're mostly just kind of like red dot style reticles. There's no like Christmas tree or anything like that. But for a unit like this, yeah, that's pretty good. I don't mind that. Now this does have digital magnification, so you have the ability of going up or down. Now just keep in mind with units like this, the more magnification that you dial in digitally, the less crisp that video is going to be. So just kind of be mindful of that. Now this here is going to be your focus ring here in the middle. You have your diopter adjustment back here. So kind of clean up the image a little bit back here, and then you have a locking ring right here to lock that down. So that's a pretty nice feature as well. Now this here, it does have the ability of zeroing it on the unit itself. Pretty easy to zero. You just go into that particular function, and then you will adjust using these arrows to move that reticle to like where your shot placed. Hit OK, and it's saved. So pretty easy to use in that regard. It does come with the flip up cap here in the front, so you don't have to worry about that being exposed. But overall, it's a pretty compact little unit. And from what I see just in briefly on the literature itself, I mean, it does have some pretty good features. Now the menu feature up here, you can adjust different parameters, you know, exposure and things like that, video quality, so on and so forth. So you do have a little bit of manipulation you can do with this, but if you've watched my channel for any length of time, I like stuff that is just user-friendly and easy to use. It doesn't need to be overly complicated, and so far from what I see, this seems to hold true to that. The one thing I will say, for the price point, definitely intriguing, so I'm really excited to get this back to the hide. Once the sun goes down, we'll get this mounted. I think I'm going to put this on my 20-inch gun and see how this thing does. So let me get this thing mounted, and I'll meet you guys back at the hide. All right, so real quick here, I wanted to go over how to zero this optic and also how to access the files stored on your micro SD on this unit as well. Those are 2 really important things right off the bat that you kind of need to know. So to get this thing zeroed, of course, mount it on your firearm, take a shot. Now they are recommending this gets zeroed at 100 yards. So go ahead and take your shot, find your bullet impact, and then you're going to hit the OK button, hold it down until the reticle turns black. Once it turns black, you can use the arrows up, down, left, right to adjust the X and Y axis and just bring that reticle over top of where you had your initial impact. Once you've done that, hit OK, and the unit is zeroed. It's super easy. And then if you're looking to access the data files on this, the videos and the pictures that you've taken, just hold down the top left and it will bring that menu up, and then you can scroll through them. You can actually play them and watch them on the unit, as well as delete them if you need to. So let's get this thing put on a firearm, and let's see how this thing does. All right, guys, so I've got the optic mounted on my 20-inch AR here. We are currently looking at 110 yards. I am going to record the audio through this optic so that way you guys can hear the quality on that. This thing was super easy to get zeroed, but right now we're looking at the 110-yard line at 5 power. So let's dial it up. This is 8, 11, 15, 17, and then finally 20 power. I'm not sure if it's exactly 20 power, but you do get a little bit of magnification, and I will say I'm pretty impressed as far as the image quality goes. You can even see the gnats down there at 110 yards flying around, so I mean that's pretty impressive. You can try and clean up the picture a little bit here, but that's not bad. Let's go ahead and take a shot here at 110. Right on the money. Right on the money. And I mean, to be honest with you, I'm pretty impressed with how well it's doing. Let's take a look. Now down here is the 210-yard line. Let me see if I can clean that up a little bit. Not bad at all, really. Now the lighting does wane a little bit as it gets out, but to be honest, not bad. See if we can hit this. Got it. Nice.
Awesome. So, like I said, now let me back out the magnification here at 210 so you guys can see that. Let's go ahead and take it back down to 5 power right there. Not bad at all, guys. But let's let the light go down a little bit, and I'll meet you guys back out here at dark. All right, so we are back here on the range. It is most definitely nighttime. Now, I do apologize for the white hump in the center of this video. It's actually, the IR is picking up the front sight base, or the front sight post on this 20-inch AR-15. So that is not there. That is on the gun. That is not actually in the video, so I do apologize. With that being said, this does have 3 levels of IR. So we are on the first one now, and we're looking at the 110-yard backstop. Here is IR2, there is 3, and you can see directly in the center there, that is one of the gongs there at 110 yards, and then of course the IR off. Now hopefully it's picking all this up on the camera, but let's go ahead and we'll just take a quick shot here, just so I can show you guys. And that's a hit. That's a hit. So the IR is actually picking up the shot out of the suppressor, and you can kind of see some of the sparks. Now, I can tell you, if you look out and focus over here on 210 yards, basically the black abyss back there, and we turned the IR all the way up to the highest setting, I still really can't make out the silhouette back there. So I would say that this optic's probably good for about 150 yards in with the current IR setup. Now, if you had an auxiliary IR illuminator, could be a little bit better than that, but honestly, I'm not even going to take a shot back there because I can't see the silhouette. So with that being said, out to 110 here, no problem at all. So we hit that, no trouble. And I'm going to go ahead and pan over here to the other pistol range. So from the benches to the pistol range is probably about 60 yards away, and you can make out the dueling tree there, some of the other silhouettes, and there's some of the gongs, other gongs there, some of the posts. But with that being said, I mean, it is usable, but out at distance with the included IR illuminator, definitely going to be waning a little bit. So that's how it's shooting, that's how it's looking at night. But let me go ahead and pack it in. Let's get this thing on the bench, and we'll get some final thoughts on this optic.
All right, so we're back from testing with our Triton StarStrike IR illuminated night vision optic. And I have to say, overall, I'm pretty impressed. But I'm pretty impressed in terms of the price point of the unit. It does do what it says it will do. It does allow you the ability to shoot in the dark. There's no question about it. The only downside to that is, I would say, to the distance at which you can do that. Now, there is a couple of, I'm not going to call them deal breakers, but just things that you should be aware of. I do wish that they included some sort of a cover to cover up that IR illuminator when it's not in use. It wouldn't add a whole lot of money to the overall price point of the unit, and it would give you the ability to protect that when the scope's not in use. Next thing, the cap should be machined on the back to accept an O-ring to help keep moisture out of the battery compartment and the electronics. Again, something really simple that I wouldn't think would add an overlot of cost to this unit. And then it's the rest of it's kind of software based. So in the shooting footage that you guys seen before, unbeknownst to me, it will not record as you are dialing up or dialing down magnification. So whatever magnification you start recording in, that's what it's going to record at. Now, you may see it change in your field of view, but what you're recording does not change. It's very, very strange. I have never seen any other optic do that. So again, is it a deal breaker? Maybe not, but just something to be aware of. Second, it does not record the reticle lit up. You do have the reticle in the center, as you guys can see, but in the daylight footage, it's black. So you can't, I mean, you can barely make out the reticle. I mean, you can see it, but it's pretty tough. Again, is it a deal breaker? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not, but definitely something to be aware of. Now, a couple of things on the good side that I was kind of surprised about. The daytime footage, I was pleasantly surprised at how well and how clear it was. I really expected it to be a lot grainier than what it was, but definitely surprised me there. That is for sure. I was not expecting that. And the next thing is the recorded audio from this unit. I went ahead and put in the audio as you hear it, as it records from this unit, not from my microphone on my camera. So that way you guys know exactly what you're getting. Now, I did not touch up any of the audio. So what you're getting is what you're hearing is actually what you would get if you bought one of these and you recorded with it and you use the audio off of this unit. So again, I've definitely have had a lot worse, but this one is by far better than that. So definitely something to hang its hat on as far as that goes. And the digital magnification, I don't think it's 20 power. I would say it's probably more like maybe 5 to 12, but I cannot confirm that. I really don't think it's 20 power digital magnification, but you do get some. It's definitely more than nothing. And I will say it did not add a lot of distortion to the picture. So that's pretty cool. Now, on the initial benchtop portion of this, I did mention that this IR illuminator is very small. And that did prove to be the case whenever we were doing the nighttime footage. I couldn't even see my 210-yard silhouette with this IR illuminator. Now, if you went and put on an auxiliary IR illuminator, I have no doubt that this unit would be good to go. I've done that with some of the other cheaper models, and it's made a world of difference. So I would say if you wanted to go that route for what these cost, for the budget mindedness of this unit, that might be something to consider. But I'm going to let the ultimate decision come down to you guys. I will say, if you are in the market for a budget NV setup, this definitely is something you probably should at least take a look at. It does do what it says. Okay, so with that being said, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. I will leave the description for this where you can find one of these in the video comment or in the description, so you can cruise on over there and check that out. But let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help the channel. As always, shoot straight. Later.